15 years is a long time in any life. But in sports, and especially in golf, it can feel like an entire era. That's why when fans saw Elin Nordegren and Tiger Woods together again, standing in the same moment, supporting their son Charlie, it didn't just feel surprising. It felt bigger than that. It felt like time had quietly circled back around. Because this wasn't about headlines from the past. It wasn't about the scandal, the collapse, or the version of Tiger the world thought it knew. It was about something much harder to fake. The body language, the calm, the shared focus, the absence of drama. And for a lot of fans watching closely, that said everything. What people noticed wasn't loud. It wasn't some over-the-top public scene. It was actually the opposite. And maybe that's why it hits so hard. Because sometimes the most powerful moment in golf isn't a roar on the 18th green. Sometimes, it's a quiet scene that tells you how much life has changed. If you truly love golf, if this game means something to you, and if you enjoy stories that go deeper than scores and trophies, then subscribe and become part of this golf family. Because around here, we don't just talk about golf. We talk about the human side of the game, too. When Tiger Woods and Elin Nordegren showed up to support Charlie, fans instantly understood this was not just another family appearance. This was one of those moments where golf and life collided in a way that made everyone stop scrolling. Charlie wasn't just there as Tiger's son. He was there as a young golfer building his own path, earning his own respect, and stepping into his own spotlight. That matters. Because for years, every conversation around Charlie started with one thing, his last name. But in this moment, people saw something different. They saw a family showing up for him, not for attention, not for a statement, but for him. And that's where the story starts to get emotional. Because when fans looked at Tiger and Elin, many weren't just seeing two people who used to be married. They were seeing what time can do. They were seeing what maturity can do. They were seeing what parenthood can do. But here's the part nobody talks about enough. In golf, we celebrate resilience when it happens inside the ropes. We talk about comebacks after injury. We talk about rebuilding a swing. We talk about surviving pressure. But rebuilding trust, rebuilding peace, rebuilding a family rhythm after the whole world watched it break apart, that might be even harder. And that's what made this moment feel so real. For longtime golf fans, Tiger's story is tied to some of the highest highs the sport has ever seen and some of the lowest lows any superstar has ever endured. We watch dominance. We watch collapse. We watch pain, surgeries, setbacks, and one of the greatest comebacks the game has ever known. But somewhere along the way, the conversation also changed. It stopped being only about what Tiger lost. It started becoming about what he was still trying to hold together. And this is where everything changed. Because when people saw Elin beside him again in a calm, grounded family setting, the reaction wasn't really about romance. It wasn't about some dramatic reunion fantasy. Most golf fans understood that. What they noticed was something more meaningful than that. Respect, peace, stability, maybe even a kind of forgiveness that doesn't need a press conference. That's powerful. And if you're a golf fan, you know why. This sport teaches patience in a brutal way. It teaches humility in public. It teaches you that one terrible swing doesn't define your whole round, but it does force you to respond. Life works like that too. And maybe that's why this moment landed so hard with the golf crowd, because it felt like a human version of staying in the round. Wait till you hear what happened next. The emotional center of this whole story is Charlie Woods. Because the more he grows in the game, the more these moments stop being about the past and start being about the future. Charlie has already had flashes that made golf fans pay attention. The swing, the composure, the competitiveness, the way people lean in whenever he tees it up. There's pressure there, whether anyone says or not. So imagine being Charlie in that moment. Your father is Tiger Woods. Your mother is Elin Nordegren. The whole sports world knows their history. And yet there they are, showing up together, not as a spectacle, but as parents. If you're Charlie, that has to mean something. Maybe more than any trophy. Because support like that doesn't just help a young golfer hit better shots. It helps him breathe. And fans noticed that too. They noticed the energy felt different. Not tense. Not awkward in the dramatic way some expected. Just steady. Mature. Almost quiet. And that quiet told a bigger story than words could. Now let's be honest. Golf fans can be skeptical. We've seen enough public moments in sports to know when something feels staged. But this didn't hit people that way. It felt natural. And that's exactly why it traveled so far. Because in a sports world built on noise, authenticity still stands out. But here's the surprising part. This moment also reminded people of something they may have forgotten about Tiger. For all the major titles, all the records, all the iconic Sundays, some of the most meaningful chapters of his life now may have nothing to do with winning golf tournaments. They may have to do with showing up, with healing what can be healed, with being there for his kids, with accepting that legacy is bigger than trophies. That's not a small thing. That's everything. And when you connect that with the other family moments fans have seen, like the emotion around Charlie's hole-in-one at the PNC, you start to understand why this latest reunion struck such a nerve. It's not one single image. It's the pattern. It's the sense that after everything, this family found a way to stand in the same frame again and make the moment about their son. Yahoo people. And maybe that's what fans really noticed. Not just that Elin was there. Not just that Tiger was there. But how they were there. That difference matters. Because golf fans understand something deeper than most people think. We know greatness is not just power. It's not just winning. It's not just fame. Sometimes greatness is what you become after the world has seen you at your worst. Sometimes it's how you carry regret. Sometimes it's how you keep showing up anyway. And this is why stories like this stay with people. Not because they erase the past. Not because they rewrite what happened. But because they show that life can still move forward with dignity. That doesn't mean everything becomes perfect. It doesn't mean every wound disappears. It just means people can grow. Families can change. And the next generation doesn't have to live trapped inside the worst chapter of the one before it. That's a lesson bigger than golf. But somehow, golf is the perfect place for it. Because this game has always been about memory. About scars. About recovery. About trying again when your confidence is gone. About standing over the next shot with all your history still inside you. And swinging anyway. So when fans saw Elin Nordegren reunite with Tiger Woods 15 years later, what they noticed may have said everything. Not about gossip, not about reconciliation in the way tabloids mean it, but about grace, about growth, about two people who, after everything, could still stand together for something that mattered more than either of them. And in the end, maybe that's the most golf story of all. So what do you think fans really saw in that moment? Was it closure, maturity, respect, or something even deeper? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you love golf stories that actually mean something, stay with this channel, because there's always another story in this game that goes far beyond the